Hello everybody, this is Anna, also known as Anna-Nita on Ravelry, and on the screen you can see where you else can find me on Facebook, Instagram and so on if you want to follow me around and want to stay tuned when I upload videos or something else. This is part of the head of Benny. Benny is my dog, a West Highland White Terrier, and he decided to join me today in this episode. Maybe you have noticed that I have another intro song, just because I have unfortunately by accident deleted the song I used normally. I was cleaning up or deleting a lot of stuff from my Mac, and yes, by accident I deleted all the iMovie files I had. So also that song, I hope you don't mind. Today I just have arrived from a knitting retreat. I'm home since 10 minutes or so, but I decided to film the podcast episode now because today Germany plays against Sweden and in the World Cup, so I definitely have to watch that. Today I want to show you my works in progress, a new purchase connected to a planned project very soon to be, and at the end of the episode I will talk a little bit about the knitting retreat I went to, and yeah, so let's start. I have no finished object unfortunately, but I think last episode was the episode of the finished objects, so I think I can go on with my blanket you see here in the back. I have added to the blanket one more stripe, row, whatever you call it. And now I have to look which side. It's growing and growing and growing. Okay, it's this. Not so easy. This is Maker's Haven. I know this just because it was tagged and I have wound it a few days ago. The other ones I don't know now, sorry. And this is so pretty, in my opinion. So now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rows. And it measures already, I think I tried to stretch it a little bit, and I think it measures already 90 centimeters. And I want it to be about 2 meter, 1 meter and 80 centimeter, 4 inches on the screen, please. Because I have forgotten, yes, I will block, so I will wash the blanket, and this will block out very much because, I mean, look at this. So I think I don't have to crochet 20 rows. I think I'm halfway through now. So yeah, I think that's awesome. It won't take me that long anymore because that's my favorite go-to project at the moment. I don't know why. I think one reason is I really want to have a handmade blanket very soon. I have tried to make blankets for a long time, but knitting blankets is so slow, and yeah, and I think, I don't know, I think the look of the granny square blanket is much prettier in my opinion, for my taste, than the other scrappy blankets, knitted blankets. And I really want to use it very soon. I like it so much, I like the colors, and I have already used it on the couch because I was scrunched up on my 2-seater couch, and so I was already able to use it, but I want to have it finished. And the second reason why I really like to work on that is you always use different yarns, so it won't get boring, because other yarn content, silk and merino, or a more rustic wool and other colors, and you really don't know before crocheting how it will pattern, so to say. So I try not to use self-strapping yarns, or not so many, because that's kind of crazy in the granny square like this. But it's okay, and also here it's still okay, but I try to use more speckled and solid colors, like here or here. And it smells so sheepy. Yeah, one woman, a viewer, asked how much white yarn I need or I use for this blanket. And now I'm halfway through, I would say, with my 7 rows. I think about 7 or 8 rows will be the half. And I have used one whole 100 gram sock yarn by Regia, for the German viewers, Regia. And yeah, so I guess for the blanket itself I will need 200 gram Regia white yarn, and maybe I will decide to add a nice border, and I guess that will take 50 gram or so. Yeah, approximately. Okay. It looks so nice. Then I have worked on just 3 rows, but 3 rows are a lot on that project. On my cotton blanket, because I have stored and packed all my whips I was going to take with me to the knitting retreat, and in the morning, so I always arrange everything the night before I drive away. And so I had no whip, no current whip at my, so in my flat, but I wanted to work on something during breakfast before heading out to Vienna, and I decided, why not work on the yeah, it's called rainbow blanket. And I have added I have finished the dark blue granny, then the turquoise granny, and then the double crochets. Yeah, the blue double crochets. And as I said, 3 rows are a lot, because this is 150 or 100, yeah, 50 centimeters wide, and I have started already. Wait, single, double crochet, single crochet, half double crochet. I think it's a half double crochet. US terms. If I said something totally wrong and stupid, you will have read it on the screen. Yeah, I haven't sewn in the ends of the last clue, but I have finished clue 4 of 13 clues. But the 13th clue is the border. So the blanket itself has 12 clues, and I have finished 4. But I have to do the 12 clues twice, because I did it twice the width and I will do it twice the length. So I have a nice big huge blanket. It is 100% cotton. If you want to know the pattern, you can hop over to Ravelry on my project page. I have linked the German and English pattern there on my project page. It's called Rainbow Blanket. You will find it very easy. I don't have so many projects, so it will be very easy to find. And 100% cotton, 125 meter per 50 gram skein. That's the company. It's very, very inexpensive yarn. But I really have to say that German or Austrian yarn, which don't cost a lot, or which doesn't cost a lot, mostly is very high quality. So really there is often no reason to buy expensive yarn, because also the inexpensive yarn has a very good quality. I mean, it's cotton. What can you do wrong with cotton? There is, yeah, I have never had a bad cotton yarn, so I think cotton is cotton. But I can totally be wrong. But I have converted from a yarn snob to a non-yarn snob, but I will talk about that in the purchase segment. Yeah, I will show you my blanket basket, because this blanket has its own basket. It's not really a portable project because, yeah, too much stuff to carry around. And here are all the, oops, yeah. In here are 64 balls of yarn. 64! This is so awesome. I mean, it's a lot. But yeah, with blankets, I don't really have stress to finish a blanket. This is positive stress. It's just like, oh, I want to use it very soon. I want to have this pretty blanket. But for me, it's no problem to work on a project for very long. It's for me okay. I like it. I enjoy the yarn very much. It's very soft. I enjoy the colors very much. And as I told you before, with crocheting, I'm a process crocheter. Definitely, I'm a process crocheter, not a project crocheter. I want to have the project, yes, needless to say, but I so much enjoy the process of crocheting. Yeah. Okay. The next work in progress is... Oh, I have not shown you the other squares I have already crocheted, because I have nearly finished 10. So I will add my next row very soon. I will show you just quickly my squares. This is very pretty. This seems to be a very famous sock yarn. I guess it's Peyton's Croy, and I really like the quality. It's very rustic and woolly and smells like sheep. And I like the colorway. This is also so pretty. So these were 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm crocheting the 8th at the moment. And after that, 2 more and I can add my 8th row. Okay, now we come to my next project. My next project is my crochet shawl, the Vongole shawl. And oh wait, here's something from the retreat. It's a bit, it's a mess, it's a hot mess. I have reached the blue color finally in my gradient yarn. Here already is a very, very, very light blue. This is so soft. It's 50% acrylic and 50% cotton, I think. Wait. Okay, I guess it's 50-50. It says cotton and acrylic. And it has 3 plies. So now 3 strands, but they are not twisted. They are not plied. And on 200 gram, I have 1000 meters, and I will use it till the yarn is used up. Yeah. And this will be the shawl. It will get into the treasure chest because it will the shawl for my Mother. I spell it because this person, the recipient, can understand English, not so much, but spelled letters, absolutely no way that the person can understand. So it's very pretty. I feel like I'm hurrying through my whips, but you know, I want to see the game today. And yeah, there isn't much to talk about it because these whips I have shown a few times already. I can show you the hot mess here. Because on the retreat the lovely Ida, she is knitting on my mind on Instagram. She's from Sweden, and she talked about knitting, Fair Isle knitting, and the history of it, and the purpose, and why did they do this, and so on. And she helped us getting started with a very easy pattern. And I haven't finished it. And then I tried out something without looking at the pattern, but I just wanted to show you that I have, yeah, some stitches here. And it is not difficult at all. The only thing I really struggle with is not even the tension, it's the way I lead the yarn, because the way I do it is this. I do this and then I knit. But normally I should do this, this and that. And in that way I could do the normal, yeah, Fair Isle knitting technique with 2 strands on 1 finger. I can't hold the 1 strand here and the other here, just because I can only knit continental, so I can't do this, I think it's called throwing. I can't do that. I have no tension. It's impossible for me, and for me it's not worth learning it. And so I always have to knit with 1 strand, put it down, take the other, wrap it around my finger and knit on. And that is very, very slow, but I think if I practice a lot, I will be much faster. And I know it's not about being fast, but if you're used to be a fast knitter, kind of fast, it's it feels wrong to be so slow. But I really want to, in the nearer future, I want to knit, for example, a cowl or a hat, or I don't know how it's called now. Read the screen. Something not too complicated, so I really can concentrate only on the way I hold my yarn and on the floats and so on. And I described her a cardigan, a kind of cardigan in Fair Isle technique I really want to do. And then she said, yeah, but that's not Swedish. It's more typical for Norway. And she said it's called, maybe I'm pronouncing it now incorrect, but she said it's called lusekufta. Lusekufta. So kufta or kufte? No, kufta is the cardigan with the typical Scandinavian pattern. And lusekufta means it's the cardigan where you have on the collar the typical thing, you know, you see in all the patterns, but the body is not in one color. The body is normally knit in the lusekufta I want to do. It's, for example, 2 stitches, so yeah, 2 stitches in gray, 1 stitch in white, 2 stitches in gray, 1 stitch in white. You know that you have these tiny kind of polka dots. And yeah, it's funny because lyse, so lusekufta, lyse means read the screen. And that's very funny in my opinion. And that's a kind of cardigan I want to knit one day. But that is far in the future, because I have to practice for my tension first and then go forward to a cardigan. But that was very, very interesting, and it was interesting what she told about the history of knitting Fair Isle, why it's called Fair Isle and all that stuff. And I'm very interested in all these things. When she was talking, that remembered me how often and how many hours I have spent in lectures, and it was many times very boring, and I had to listen for 90 minutes, and then I had to write an exam. And when she was talking about the knitting technique and the history, I thought, oh, I would love to make a PhD in knitting and learn all the history facts in all the different countries of the knitting techniques and habits and patterns and so on. It was so interesting. She could have talked about it much longer. Yeah. So my next work in progress is a knitted project. It is the Feathers in the Wind cardigan by Hohi Lokitelli, or shall I say Hochilokiteli. You saw last time pretty much the same picture. I think I was, let's see, I was kind of here. For you it looks like, okay, she has knit 3 rounds on a sleeve, but I had to rip out the whole sleeve just because it was much too tight. It was like there was no blood in my arm anymore. It was too tight. I am knitting, I think, the tiniest or the smallest size. Let me see. Yeah, I'm knitting the smallest size. So I thought the smallest size of the sleeve will also be fine. But it wasn't. And it is a tight sleeve, but not too tight. It's just the way I like it. I will show you. And on Instagram I showed you how I ripped back. I didn't pull out the needle and unraveled and then picked up the stitches. I did a reactive lifeline. If you want to know what a reactive lifeline is, you have 2 possibilities. Hop over to my Instagram account and watch the video how I did it. Or, much better, hop over to Very Pink Knits and she makes a video about lifelines, reactive and proactive, and that is a reactive lifeline. Yeah, so that's how I like the sleeve. That's perfect. It's not stretched out. The gauge is nice and I can wear it and it looks nice and it's comfortable. So sometimes you have to unravel and start over again, and it's okay. So it was good to be on the knitting retreat because in company it's not so boring to knit a sleeve. At home it can be very boring, and then I prefer to crochet on my blanket, for example. Yeah. That's everything I did from here to here. That was a work of 2 days. Not that I knit the whole day, but 2 sit-downs and knit. Yeah. I'm knitting this out of Malabrigo Arroyo in the colorway Sandbank. And it's a pattern, as I said, by Joji Locatelli. My last work in progress is a sock. And I have added 2 pattern repeats, I would say, of the Hermione's Everyday sock pattern. And here you can see the sock. I try to show you that you can see it's a very light yarn, and so it's difficult to, I think if I hold, yeah, now you can see it much better. So because in front it's not so good to see, I think. Here you can see the pattern. It's neat. I have switched to 2mm needles. Again, I'm talking about needle sizes. I hope you don't mind. I started with 2.5. I realized, no, it looks so loose. It's not, yeah. I'm kind of OCD when it comes to that. It felt wrong. It was so airy. So now I switched in the middle of the project to 2mm needles, and you know I don't mind that. Okay, from here to here I knit 2.5, and from here to here 2mm, and no one will notice it. Other ones maybe would have ripped out and started over, but I don't do that. Not for a sock, really not for a sock. And the cuff looks nice. It's okay. And you can't see on the screen, I think, that I changed the needles. Not really. But I can feel it while knitting. So yes, this is a sock for my mom, and she already knows that. So I don't have to spell. And the yarn is my hand-dyed yarn. And the colorway, I don't sell yarn at the moment. Maybe in the future again, but at the moment I don't have the time. And the colorway is called Mother of Pearl. So, and now I show you my purchase. And I said I will talk about being a yarn snob or not, or being a converted non-yarn snob. So as a knitter, so when I started knitting, I had no clue about the different fibers and how the way yarn has been spun or twisted or something. I didn't know nothing. Then when I was getting better and better and found out that there is a difference between acrylic and cotton and merino and Shetland and all that stuff, I preferred yarn blends without polyamide or acrylic. Also because it's nothing else than plastic. Acrylic, polyamide, what else is polyamide, and polyacrylic is plastic, and sometimes it's recycled plastic from plastic bottles. I have watched an Austrian documentation about plastic, how we produce plastic, where we use plastic, and all that stuff. And I saw how they melted the plastic bottles from cola or Pepsi or Sprite or so. They melted this and made out of that kind of yarn strings and used it for making garments and so on, or to make yarn balls out of that. I saw this in a documentation. I saw the factory, so I know it is 100% plastic, like the bottle from a Coke. And that was something I didn't like. Also because of, now I don't know the English word, I'm sorry. To make the plastic soft so that you can work with it and put it into a specific shape, you need chemicals, and one of that is called, read the screen. Okay. And this substance, is maybe not so good for our bodies and to have it next to our skin also. I was very, aware of all that stuff, and I have thrown away all my plastic in my flat. I had very much Tupperware and I don't know, all that stuff. You put your nourishment in and all that stuff. But that was very extreme. I was in a very extreme phase of my life. And now I'm, since many years now, but now I have become normal again, and I think plastic is a part of our world and it's not bad, and maybe we shouldn't use it only, and we shouldn't throw it into the ocean and all that stuff. I agree with all that, but I use plastic again. I am using Tupperware every day, and we need plastic. But as a knitter, I didn't want to have that in my yarn. Only maybe in sock yarn, but I also knit some socks with only merino, without nylon, and they are totally fine. And after learning crocheting, I started to watch crochet podcasts. And the most crocheters from the UK or USA are using Stylecraft Special DK for their projects. And this is 100% acrylic. And I thought, okay, wow, there is a big difference between knitters and crocheters, because the most knitters who are having a podcast pretty much only knit with indie dyed yarns or very high quality yarns, and it's okay, it's awesome. But very many very famous crocheters like Ethic24, Crafternoon Treats, Cherry Heart, all these awesome podcasters and designers, and they use 100% acrylic yarn. So I thought, okay, that means that can't be bad quality yarn, because they are very famous and they are designing patterns and they work with yarn every day, and they don't use it because it's cheap. They use it because it's awesome and they love that, and they say it's soft, and they say you can work with it very, very good and all that. So I thought about it and said, okay, Anna, there are so many German yarn brands, and one of the more famous ones is called Schachenmeier. I think you would pronounce it Schachenmeier. I think you have heard from that. And this is a ball. No, I won't take the red because it's difficult for the screen. I will take the green. This is Schachenmeier. And Schachenmeier produces very many different yarns. Cotton, wool blends, but also acrylic yarns. And I decided to pick different Christmas colorways in 100% acrylic. This is, I would say, a DK weight. It's DK weight. It has, you use a needle 3 to 4 millimeter, US 3 to 6. And the yarn label says 3 light. But it's DK. I was browsing through the designs by Attic24 for very long now. And I decided, okay, Anna, you want to do the cozy straps blanket and you want to make this in Christmas colors. You want to make a Christmas Afghan. And I didn't want to pay again 100 euro or so for cotton or for wool yarn. So I decided now you have the chance to try acrylic yarn and how content you are with acrylic yarn. And I think for an Afghan, it's awesome. I don't know if I would wear garments out of acrylic just because your skin can't breathe and you will sweat more and it won't keep you that much warm because the air can't circulate. So I think acrylic will be only for accessories or home decor. So I will show you the colors now. I'm not quite sure if they really match, but yeah, we will see. I have 2 greens, 2 reds, and 1 white. I'm not sure with this one. I'm not sure. But we will see. And I will do the cozy stripe blanket. It's only granny stripes, and in the next row it's double crochets. It's not complicated. And I have bought so much that I can make a big blanket, like 150 centimeters by 2 meter around. Yeah, 100% acrylic. I have bought acrylic yarn. I have never bought acrylic yarn. I had acrylic yarn in my stash from school, and I have knit my first hat out of acrylic yarn because I had this yarn at home. But I've never bought it just because I was a yarn snob, and I'm happy that I have extended my choices now, that I can use all the yarns, the cheaper ones, the acrylic ones, wool and cotton. And yeah, I think I will try the yarns today just to see how they match, or if I should order some other colors. But I hope that will be pretty. Yeah, so I think now I should talk about in the last segment of this episode about the knitting retreat. So the lovely Ida, Knitting on My Mind, as I told you already, organized this retreat. It wasn't a retreat you might have in your mind or on your mind now. It wasn't many workshops and 100 per members or something. It was very casual and very awesome and cozy. It was very stressless. So we were about, how many were we? 15 people around. I'm very bad at numbers, but I think about 15 people. We started yesterday noon. We had lunch together and we knitted together. We went for a walk. It was a very nice hotel on the landscape side, or how can I say, in the middle, just very nice and pretty nature. So yes, and then we pretty much, it was like a big knit night or knitting meetup. And then we had this tiny workshop with Ida, also very casuals. Some were attending and some were only sitting with us knitting on their project and were listening to Ida without having a feral project in mind or something. And the food was very, very good. The people were very nice and it was so funny. And for me it was very special because I'm so not into the German community, German-speaking community. I don't know many people in Austria who knit in person. I told you that our community is very, very small. So yes, and every knit night is, far away, I would say, from my home. And nearly no one is my age. That's not the biggest deal, but I told you that I was looking for someone about in my age, and I found Karina, and that is so awesome. But yeah, and on this retreat I met some people I have met already on retreats years ago, and I remembered quite a few details and was very funny with them and awesome, and I'm looking forward to see them again. I think I have to go to another knit night in my local yarn shop, I would say. It's not local to me. The yarn shop in Lower Austria I really, really like, I really love, is how I would say 45 minutes drive from my home now. When I was living in the other village before where I studied, that was 20 minutes or so. So then I could say that was my local yarn shop. It's not my local yarn shop anymore, but it's my favorite yarn shop because she sells very high quality yarns. No acrylic. You won't find acrylic yarns in her shop. And she offers sometimes workshops and knitting cafes and knitting nights, and I think I have to attend again very soon because it is nice to talk to the ladies, and they showed some needles I want to try out, and the yarns they use and the projects, and it's just funny, and they can understand me. We all can understand each other. There are so many things normal people can't understand, like knot knitter or knot crocheter, just can't understand. And there was this, it was just funny because we were knitting there in this hotel, and then there was this other seminar group, and they were doing something like team building or coaching or so, and they worked very hard on that weekend, and we were knitting the whole day. And I think the people there weren't used to see women knitting in public, and so many women knitting in public together and having just the greatest time just because we can knit. And we can knit together and eat good food. So it was awesome, and I hope we can do this again very soon. It was awesome, very nice. So that was everything I wanted to talk about. Maybe just a little reminder. We have the treasure chest along, knitting presents for the whole year. Enter that, and at the end of the year I will draw winners from there. So from our Ravelry thread of our group. And we have the year of ornaments. And I have, oh no, where is my ornament? I have to show you something. I have a finished object. I have forgotten a very tiny one for our ornament along. So I have made a sock ornament out of a opal yarn mini. And because it was one class in the Harry Potter knit and crochet house cup, and the prompt was knit something in less than 1 hour. So I did this sock for that. So I submitted this as a class already for this month. Yeah, that was the last thing, ornament along. And in July we will do the Christmas in July along. So I think I will do the blanket and maybe a pair of Christmas socks, we will see. But for now, that was everything. I will edit this podcast and watch the soccer game tonight. Germany for the win! And we will see each other next week. Happy knitting time or crocheting time, whatever. Bye bye!